Confirmation bias. Have you ever noticed how, once you believe something, the world seems to prove you right? That's not always truth whispering to you. It might just be confirmation bias, a quiet glitch in the way our minds work. It means we tend to notice things that support what we already believe, and quietly ignore the things that don't. If you think someone doesn't like you, you might only notice their cold glances, but miss the time they smiled when you weren't looking. It's not because you're foolish, it's because your brain is trying to protect you, by making the world feel more certain, more stable, even if it's not completely accurate. But sometimes, the truth lives in the things we don't want to see. And wisdom? It begins the moment we ask, what if I'm wrong? So next time something confirms what you already believe, pause. Look again. The truth might be just outside your line of sight, and that's okay. Curiosity is the beginning of clarity. Dunning-Kruger Effect. Sometimes the less we know, the more confident we feel. It's called the Dunning-Kruger Effect, a strange twist in human thinking, where people with little knowledge overestimate their ability, while those with real skill begin to doubt themselves. It's why a beginner might speak like an expert, and a true expert might quietly say, I'm still learning. The brain craves certainty, and in the early stages of learning, everything feels simple, clear, black and white. But as we learn more, we start to see how complex things really are. It's humbling, and sometimes frustrating. But it's also a sign of growth. So if you ever feel unsure, like everyone seems to know more than you, maybe you're not falling behind. Maybe you're just moving forward, into a deeper kind of understanding. Real wisdom doesn't shout, it listens, it wonders, and it keeps going. Anchoring bias. Your mind has a quiet habit. It clings to the first number, idea, or impression it sees, even if it doesn't make sense. This is called anchoring bias. Imagine someone tells you a jacket costs $400. Then you see it on sale for $200. Suddenly, $200 feels like a great deal. But is it? Maybe that jacket was never worth $400. Maybe the anchor, that first number, tricked your brain. Anchoring happens everywhere, in shopping, in relationships, even in how we value ourselves. The first thing we hear sticks, and everything else gets compared to it, even when the anchor is totally random. But anchors aren't always truths, they're just starting points, and starting points don't have to define where we end up. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, this feels like a bargain, or they seem better than most, ask gently, compared to what? Sometimes the anchor is just noise, and real clarity begins when we let go of it. Hindsight bias. After something happens, it's easy to say, I knew it. But most of the time, we didn't. This is called hindsight bias, a quiet trick your mind plays, where events seem more predictable after they've already happened. It's why we look back on a breakup, a bad decision, or even a world event and say, of course it turned out that way. But the truth is, life never feels that obvious in the moment. There are too many paths, too many unknowns. Still, hindsight gives us the illusion of clarity. It makes the past feel neat, predictable, comfortable. But it can also make us too hard on ourselves, like we should have seen it coming. You couldn't have known. Not really. So be kind to the version of you who made those choices. They were doing their best with the information they had. Hindsight makes the past look simple. But real life is rarely that clear. Availability heuristic. Sometimes what feels true is really just what's easy to remember. That's the availability heuristic. A mental shortcut where your brain assumes that whatever comes to mind the fastest must be the most important, or the most likely. It's why we think plane crashes are common, just because we saw one on the news, or why we worry more about shark attacks than slipping in the shower. Even though the shower is far more dangerous. Your brain isn't trying to lie to you, it's trying to protect you, by reacting to vivid stories, powerful emotions, and recent memories. But ease of recall doesn't equal truth. Louder doesn't mean more real. So when fear rises fast, or a headline feels like the whole world, pause. Ask yourself, is this actually common, or just unforgettable? Sometimes what stands out in your memory isn't what matters most. And wisdom means learning to see beyond what's loud to what's likely. Self-serving bias. When things go right, we say, I earned this. But when they fall apart, we often say, it wasn't my fault. That's called the self-serving bias. A quiet protection our mind offers to keep our self-esteem safe. It makes us take credit for the wins, and blame the losses on bad luck, other people, or timing. It's human, it feels good, but it can also hold us back. Because if failure is always someone else's fault, we miss the lessons we could have learned. And if success is only about us, we forget the support, the timing, the luck that helped us get there too. Real growth begins when we admit, maybe I played a part in both. It's not weakness, it's honesty. And with that honesty, we grow gentler, with ourselves and with others. Because no one wins alone, and no one fails for just one reason. Spotlight effect. You walk into a room, and suddenly you feel like everyone's watching you. Every little flaw, every awkward move. It feels like a spotlight is shining right on you. But here's the truth. Most people aren't looking. They're too busy worrying about their own spotlight. This is the spotlight effect, a mental illusion where we believe others notice us far more than they actually do. It makes us overthink the stain on our shirt, the thing we said wrong, the moment we tripped on the stairs. But to everyone else, it's a flicker, not a headline. You're not being judged as harshly as you think. Most people forget our awkward moments much faster than we do. So take a breath. You're not under a spotlight. You're just living, and so is everyone else. And that quiet freedom? That's where confidence begins. Illusion of control. We like to believe we're in control. That if we try hard enough, plan well enough, we can shape every outcome. But sometimes, that feeling is just an illusion. The illusion of control is a trick of the mind, where we overestimate our influence over things that are actually random. We tap the elevator button twice, as if that makes it come faster. We say a little phrase before a game, thinking it might affect the result. It's not foolishness. It's comfort, because control feels safe, and letting go, even just a little, feels scary. But real strength isn't in controlling everything. It's in knowing what we can't control. And still moving forward anyway. Life is unpredictable. And that's not always a threat, sometimes it's a gift. Because when we stop gripping so tightly, we begin to notice the beauty in what we can't script.